Hello, YouTube. Did you happen to see me post this to my Instagram? You didn't? What? Well, luckily you're subscribed to my YouTube channel. Whoa! Good for you. You know what that means? You get to look at how I made this, even if you didn't want to. Thanks. While this time lapse is playing, I'm just going to talk a little bit about why I chose to do this drawing. So A.W.A.M was a band that I didn't really get into at first, but over time they kind of grew on me and eventually became a band that was super important to me and important for a number of reasons. Pat's lyrics, they're always trying to say something important, and the music is always aggressive but melodic and has a lot of moments that I feel really exemplify the ideal hardcore music sound. And in 2019, I went and saw A.W.A.M. They hadn't played in quite some time. I don't know how many years it had been since their last show. And it was an experience that I truly feel like I'm never gonna get a show like that again. And it makes it hard for me to want to go to shows because I went to that show. It was exactly how I wanted it to be. And it actually inspired me to keep pushing on the idea of making a comic about hardcore, which is where the history of hardcore came from. So had I not gone to that show, I probably wouldn't have followed through and worked on the history of hardcore to begin with. And saw that A.W.A.M was playing this year, and looking at some of the photos and watching some of the videos of the sets that happened, I knew that I wanted to try and do a comic, or just a one-page comic really, that showed what maybe that experience was like based on the experience that I had seeing A.W.A.M in 2019. I don't usually do these kinds of things digitally. I prefer to do them traditionally, but lately I've been spending a lot of time on Procreate, trying to get better at it, because it does in a way make things easier, but I also find it to be pretty difficult to use just because it isn't the same thing as drawing on paper, which I always prefer. And also with the colors on this, I'm not a colorist, so I'm trying to work on that every day when I draw, or when I work on drawings of trees and stuff like that. I'm just basically trying to challenge myself to get better at that coloring, because ultimately I would like to color my work a little bit more, but I need to get better at it before I make that happen. So I figure try it on something that is, if it works, it's cool. If it doesn't, it's cool by me because I'm getting practice in, but I think it worked. Yeah, I worked on this for quite some time. I wanted to make sure that I used photos from people who I respect as reference, and people who I think are able to capture a different perspective than just somebody who's taking a photo of a band. Not to throw shade anywhere, but there's a lot of photographers documenting hardcore. Maybe only about 10% of them are actually doing justice to represent what it is that hardcore feels like and does at a show. It's the guitar players, it's the band, it's the crowd. And so I really wanted to capture that energy that the crowd gives while also showing the energy of the band and giving a kind of send-off to A.W.A.M, because who knows when they're gonna play another show, in California at least, where I'm based. Today's video, as per usual, is short. I definitely wanna make sure that everybody knows that these videos are gonna be shorter than my other things that I'll put up from time to time. I do want to mention that I recently released this book, The History of Hardcore. It's a book about the beginning, the present, and the future of hardcore music. And it's a time traveling tale with fun and lots of cool things. And if you're unfamiliar with hardcore music, but you really love comics, I think this will be perfect for you. And if you're familiar with hardcore, but not necessarily with comics, this is also made for you. It's sort of what I want to do with this channel, but in a comic book form. So I would appreciate it if you checked it out. There's a link to it in the description below. And also, I didn't mention this last time, but I have a Patreon page. So on my Patreon page, I always post all of my art way early. I'm posting constant updates on projects that I'm in the middle of, projects that I'm working on, ideating on, those sorts of things. And you'll have early access to all of these videos. So depending on which level you choose, you could have access to this video maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks early. Like for example, the video I just posted about Bloodrick, that one was up like 2 weeks ago. So If that's something you're interested in and you have a couple dollars to spare, don't send them to Starbucks, send them to me. You don't need more coffee, you need more Hunter. And even if that's not something you're interested in right now, that's cool. I appreciate you watching this video. It means a lot to me. And yeah, I will see you in the next one. Peace.